Yo, yo, yo. What's good, everybody? What is up? What is up? It is game week. It is officially game week, and it feels weird. It's December, and we talking about some game week. Well, let me modify that. It's December, and we talking about some game week at home in the shoe. I mean, we've played football in December, the Big Ten title game and stuff like that, but this is different, y'all. And I'm still soaking it all in, but I'm excited. Funky, what is up, brother? How's your week? How's your day? What's going on, man?
What's up, B Moses? A good day. This week was better than last week. We'll say that. So, but it's always a good day when the Buckeyes are still alive for a national title in December, and that's just one thing that I'm grateful for as a fan, that we can still be cheering for a team uh, in the December, even though the season has gone. I mean, at this point, bad. Not what we really expected. But hey, we're still alive and well for the playoffs, and just got to win the next four. So that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on this weekend. I'll be in the horseshoe again, which I'm on a 2-game stinker right now because I went to Georgia 2022, and
You got to break it.
yeah. So I'm on a 2-game stinker. I was undefeated up to that point, but yeah. So hopefully two of the worst field goals, whatever, besides the point. But hopefully, but the Buckeyes bounce back and let's beat Tennessee. Am I confident about the game? No, not really. Can't lie. It's hard to be confident, but I know damn well the team is going to be ready because they still think they can win a natty, and I still think they can win a natty. So they're fired up, and I think they're going to be ready to go versus Tennessee. So go Bucks, because this might be the last show that we have with still Buckeye football, B Moses. So just appreciating it while we still have it. So
Yeah,
yeah, let's go
yeah,
Buckeyes.
yeah. You got to get off the schneid, man. With you being there for the two straight losses in your last
Yeah.
two games, you got to get off the schneid, man, for sure. But yes, I mean, I'm going to get into my thoughts about the game. I've been watching Tennessee all week. I've been studying them, looking at them, considering some things and all that, and we'll get into that. But the chat, I want to ask y'all because I also want to talk about the fan interaction, with Tennessee. On my Facebook page, Buckeye Sports Talk with B Moses, I deal with a lot of different fan bases. Tennessee gets sprinkled in there every now and then, just off-season banter. I've dealt with some of them, but now they're on there heavy and they popping off hard. I mean, they running their mouth like crazy. And so I wanted to ask the chat, like, how's y'all's interactions been with Tennessee fans? I know there's gonna be some cool ones. There's gonna be some good ones, but for me, it's been overwhelmingly cocky, overconfident. The whole hitching their wagon to the SEC, type thing, as if they've done anything like in our lifetime. All that stuff, all that. A lot of bravado, you know what I'm saying? And downplaying the shoe, and we're going to take it over and all that other stuff. So, what is y'all's experience, with this whole, since the game has been announced, what have y'all been dealing with on social media? You know what I'm saying? If you live in Tennessee, whatever, tell me what y'all think about that. And Funky, I know you out on the left coast, you probably don't deal with them as much, but what has your interactions been? And what's everybody's just overall thoughts on that before we kind of get into it? Because that's been an eye opener for me dealing with Tennessee fans on this level.
Yeah, I heard they're referred to as Vol Twitter, B Moses. So Vol Twitter is yeah, I've heard stories of Georgia fans and Bama fans have been popping up in my timeline, and they're just saying they're going to be some like a history project done on Vol Twitter. So I think they're notorious one of the more annoying fan bases, especially on social media, because I mean when you have a program that has experienced a lack of success as Tennessee has the last whatever, and I mean way over my lifetime, but really since where the 1998 or 1997 or whenever they won the last natty. But
Eight.
really, really since then, they've been nothing but trash. So very Michigan-like. They're horrible this whole 2010s. A little uptick now, but I mean, any team who rushes the field and tears down the goalpost after any and every big win, I don't that like that. I just don't respect that really. So, hey, but this is their Super Bowl. I know all of our fans. It's funny because, well, I mean, we had talked about B Moses about before the show, and I was just like, yeah, for Ohio State fans, it's we want to win this game so we can play Oregon in the next one and win that one, and then that's when we'll start getting a little excited. for Tennessee fans, if they beat us this weekend, I mean, they're going back to Knoxville and burning down the whole city in celebration. They're celebrating the first round victory over Ohio State, and they're whatever mapping out where they're taking our goalpost after the game. But for us, it's we beat Tennessee. Well, that's what we should do. That's typical. We're favorites. Well, pretty big favorites. We got to beat Tennessee on the Oregon. And even if we lose the Oregon, then everything else doesn't matter. So yeah, so that's my experience with them. But that's typical for a fan base. Like, I mean, they don't have much success. So anything they can hang on to, they're going to be really loud for. But hey, I can appreciate that because at least they're fans. They're not fair weather, it seems. So I've heard they're talking crap no matter how bad they are. So
Yeah, fair enough. And I've had some shout out to Rob Spangler. What's up, brother? Heavy on my page, very active. He talked about, he's close to some Tennessee fans, and he didn't have great things to say about the interactions with them and the cockiness and arrogance and all that other stuff. But real quick, yes, I see the chat. Bo Camaro, shout out to him on X, Twitter, man. He has some type of foundation. He's one of the good Tennessee fans I've seen. He has like a foundation to help sick kids of the opposing team that they're playing. And there was a Buckeye fan on Twitter. I forget the handle, but they raised a bunch of money for him to go to the game and to like other things. But that was dope. Respect, tip of the cap for that all day, every day. Unfortunately, the flip side has been, way too much on the other side as far as, the negative interactions and just the ridiculousness from their fans. Because listen, man, I get it. You're excited. You're a fan and all that, but the condescending tone for a team who has, a half a title. The last time they had a title was 1998. It was a half a title. Okay. Like, you haven't done anything since then, nothing but talk and hit your wagon to Bama, hit your wagon to LSU and to Georgia and basically do the typical, hey, we're in the SEC, like Ole Miss fans do and whoever else. You've done nothing. So that's the only thing that'd be frustrating me. Like, man, just calm down. Okay. I think you're a good team this year. You got warts just like we got warts. I've watched you. You got warts. So you got to come to our place. I know, you've never been to the shoe. You just think it's just nothing. The former player Turntine or whatever his name that used to be a DB here, try to, downplay the shoe, the loudness of the shoe, all that stuff. That's fine. You can do all that. You still got to play the game. You still got to come up north, next week at night and play us. And one thing about our stadium, yes, you can say what you want to say about, noon games against, Marshall or Western Michigan or whatever. Our fans, they're not going to get up typically for games like that. But a night game against a ranked opponent or a big time matchup, I can't remember ever when our fans did not get up for that. So it's going to be rocking. I have no doubt about that. So I did want to talk about the whole take over the shoe thing. I know there was some news about some promo code leaking and Tennessee fans buying up all these tickets. And I've been watching their podcast too. They think they're going to get 20 to 25,000 in there. I don't know about that. Maybe 10 to 15 tops. If what's true, if what they're saying is true about this leak code and they're just buying them up, maybe 10 to 15,000, but it's 102 plus. So even if that's the case, that's still not really, you know what I'm saying? You ain't taking over nothing with that. But Funk, you got any thoughts on that?
yeah, I mean, I definitely think they're going to travel well because I think they have a lot of excitement. It's not too far. I think it's only a 6-hour drive from Knoxville to Columbus. And with this new ticketing, but like, I think all these playoff games are going to have way more away fans than people think because Ohio State wasn't really in charge of giving out the tickets. It was really ran by like the playoff committee and the college football playoffs. And so I think there's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans in the shoe. I think that's a fact. There's going to be a lot of them, but I mean, it's what are we comparing it to? We've never had a playoff game to compare it to. So sure. I think this is going to be a little bit of not a shocker, but a little bit surprised because it's not going to be as much of a home field advantage as you might think because of all the the scalpers getting the tickets because of the playoff. It really wasn't really Ohio State's fault. This was fully the college football playoffs committee's fault.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
because their job is to get money and raise it for whatever the college football playoffs, and then because Ohio State's not going to get all the ticket revenue from this game. It's going to be split between a lot of the teams in the playoffs, and that was the whole thing with like whatever the Michigan scandal. They're like. They got huge cuts for money for making the playoffs every year because they get part of the TV revenue and all that and whatever. So same with this. Ohio State's going to get part of the ticket revenue, but a lot of it goes through the college football committee and the playoffs and all that stuff. So I think it's just going to be different. I'm not really sure what to expect. My best guess would be about like 15,000, which is still very, very well traveled. But I mean, I just don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm going to this. I'll be there, so I'll have photos. I'll send photos of what the crowd looks like. I'm sure you'll hear it live. But I mean, it's going to be rocking though, because everyone who is there, all the old people are going to be sleeping at home.
And it's already sold out.
Yeah, it's already sold out. I mean, it's going to be freezing cold. To be freezing cold, everyone there is going to be, they're going to have to be young because they're going to have to be freaking intoxicated to be at this game, Moses, because it's going to be freezing. So it's going to be loud. I mean, the shoe's ready for a night game. We've asked for a night game, and people want to go to a night game. Students will. A lot of people that go to Ohio State live in Ohio, so the students are going to be back in campus and ready to rock and roll in the shoe one last time. So, because I mean, people want to go to a night game. This is not like SEC gets so many night games. Like maybe you can downplay a night game and be like, well,
right.
we're gonna have one next week anyways. Nope, Ohio State fans, this is your last night game. A lot of these seniors, we haven't had a big night game like this in forever. Like I mean, the last time, 2017 Oklahoma. I don't count Notre Dame because I really think those games.
Man, LeBron was there. I mean, that was big time recruits. I was there. That was a big, huge game.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to play down Notre Dame as an opponent, that's fine. But as far as pomp and circumstance, it was a big game.
That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. I was there as well, B. Moses. But yeah, that was a big game, big time. But I mean, there's something about SEC though that just hits people a different way. So I mean, can't wait to get him here. And if no way Ohio State fans don't show up and aren't rocking, I think it'll be deafening loud at night. So I mean, it's an 8 p.m. start time. I mean, that's bedtime for me for some days. So like that's gonna be rocking because we're gonna. No, it's seriously. I mean, that's late, but it's gonna be fun. I'm very excited. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a blast, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I agree. Look, man, SEC fans. They or should I say SEC fans, SEC. They like to downplay anything not SEC. Like, they'll even, have the gumption to downplay a juggernaut brand like The Ohio State University. I just be thinking to myself, like, listen, no disrespect to Purdue or Iowa, good programs. We're not them. Okay. We show up. When we have a formidable opponent, a big time matchup, we show up, all that. Like, this is not going to be no walk in the park. You saw the post going around with the Tennessee fans, that drew up their little exit strategy to take the goalpost to the river. Like, it's stuff like that. It's goofy stuff like that. First of all, and that's a big if, you do win this game, just if you even sniff the goalpost, you getting pepper sprayed, brother. So
like flies, yeah.
You will be on the news like this in cuffs, the pepper spray, singing Rocky Top while you pepper sprayed. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, listen, I think this is going to be a good game. Like I said, I've been watching Tennessee. They're a very good team. They have some good talent, but they also got some warts, like I said. And so some of the talking they're doing is just like, hold on now. And for example, I got the schedule put up. You see, starting off, they played Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State. They, blew those teams out. They have 2 losses. They lost at Arkansas, who's a 6-loss team. Keep that in mind, y'all. 6-loss team, because they want to, you guys you lost to a 5-loss Michigan team or whatever. You lost to Arkansas. They're not a good team. I don't want to hear none of that. They're a 6-loss team. You also lost to Georgia 31-17. But so just kind of getting into some preliminary things of what I saw with Tennessee. Yes, they got a good defensive front. Their guy, why did I forget his name? I should have wrote it down. He reminds me of Abdul Carter as far as his size and speed off the edge. You remember his name, Funky?
Uh, for some reason, something Pierre
Yeah,
Paul,
James Pierce. James
James
Pierce.
Pierce.
Boom.
Okay,
Thank
James
you.
Pierce. Yeah.
Yes, you hit it for me. Yeah, James Pierce, very good rusher. They have a very good D line. They got some good depth, and all that. I saw them get tested sometimes. I mean, you can put up some yards on their secondary as well. Georgia sprayed them up. I think Arkansas. Let me go look at the numbers. Yeah, Georgia threw for 347. Arkansas threw for 297. So both threw for 300 on their secondary. So if our O line can hold the line and give Howard time with our receivers, we can absolutely do some damage on the back end. I'm not saying their corners are trash. They have some, they're number 3, I believe. No, number 2 is their corner, I believe. No, that's Turrentine. I think number 3 is their top corner. He's a good corner. They got some good guys out there, but their secondary as a whole has struggled at times this year, and you can see that on tape. But yes, the D line is one of the things that sticks out the most. Very good, very stout. I don't think their D tackles are as good as Michigan's. Some people are saying they're equivalent. I think their edge rusher is better than Michigan's, but Michigan's D tackles are better than Tennessee's. Not saying their D tackles aren't good, because they are, but not Michigan level. And then let's see what else. As far as the run game, Sampson, the running back, very good back. But it's a head scratcher to me. It's like, do y'all watch any games? Because a lot of the talk I've heard, even Austin Ward, who has Tennessee guys in the media and fans, basically said he was astounded at how much they think they're just going to run the ball down our throat, as if our defense can't stop the run. Our defense has stopped the run. Michigan had one busted play for 25 yards late in the game, where they showed Sawyer clearly being held on the replay. Clapp pointed it out. Dude had him wrapped up. We let him out the gate for 20-something yards. Other than that, they didn't run the ball like that. So, and just go look at the stats. We're top 10 against the rush. We're the number 1 overall scoring defense and total defense. Like, you're not just going to run the ball down our throat. So, so stop that. But I can keep going, but Funky, I want to make sure you got time to jump in. I wanted to give you a moment to respond to that before I continue.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's offense this year has been like historically bad. B. Moses. I mean,
they've been shaky. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for like a big time SEC school, you would think they would have a high powered offense with whatever. I know there's all that talk about the running back. I think the running back ran one offense player of the year for the SEC, but I mean, I watched every single offensive snap for SEC they've had all year. I had some time this week, B. Moses, so I watched every single. I have watched every single offensive snap they've had all year, and it was nothing but unimpressive, especially on the road. I mean, their one big win versus Alabama, who's Alabama's defense this year is not like. I mean, this Alabama defense just isn't very good. They're not really well coached. They're not. I mean, clearly, we all know they're not very good defensively this year. It's not some juggernaut Alabama defense, and they won that game. I'm forgetting, what was it, like 17-10? B. Moses.
Talking about the Alabama game.
Yeah,
I think it was 24-17.
Oh, 24-17. Yeah, I mean,
I watched that game as well. Yeah.
They just didn't really, especially in the first half of that game. They were like pretty seemingly they really couldn't get anything going. And in their other games versus Georgia, they only scored 17 points versus Georgia and all this stuff. I mean, in Arkansas, that game was really, really low scoring from what I remember as well.
And hold on real quick, Funky, to your point about Bama, they did not score. Tennessee did not score a point until mid-third quarter. Remember that?
Yeah.
That blew me away, because that was my first time watching that game, and I'm like, dang, like, why? I knew they won the game too, but like, why are they? This is bad. So that's what I mean by warts. But go ahead.
And it was mostly because of like Bama's mishaps too. Like sorry, my memory in that game is a little shaky at this point. But it seemed like Bama just couldn't stop shooting themselves in the foot, and Jalen Milroe kept doing his thing, turning the ball over. So
yes.
I'm sorry, I had to look at the box score one more time in the game just to remember. Yeah, no, exactly. You're right. They scored 0 points in the first half. That was my memory. So they just really couldn't get anything going. And I mean, Nico only threw for less than 200 yards, threw a pick. So their offense really isn't anything. So I think our defense is going to have our way with their offense. And I think Nico is going to turn the ball over more, just like Michigan did. It's just going to be a matter of fact if our offense can be clicking. So
Yeah,
I have high hopes too about that because, I mean, Will Howard, he's a senior leader. He played his worst game he maybe in his whole entire career versus Michigan. And there's only one way to respond by that, and that's to bounce back and play better. So, and usually players
absolutely.
do. I mean, he's a professional at this point. They're getting paid like professionals. They're pretty much professionals. He's a fifth-year senior. He's had bad games. And usually when you embarrass a pro, the next game they come out looking way better. That's what I will always say. When a team gets embarrassed, usually bet them the next week because that's usually a pretty promising bet.
Yep. And look, I'm glad you brought up the offense. So let's talk about their offense. So Nico, you brought up Nico. Okay. First of all, dude is talented. He does have a big arm. He's fast. He's not really shifty, but he has good speed. He's a long strider. They like to get him out on the edge sometimes and roll him out. And when he's doing that, he's not looking to run first. He's looking to throw first. But if he does take off and run, he can pick up a first down quick. He can move. Tall kid, but kind of slight. He's not very big. So our defense needs to get some hits on him. And watching the games, listen, their O-line is good. They're a good O-line, but he got tagged quite a few times against Bama, Arkansas. I mean, like he was getting hit. And here's the other thing about Nico is, and I heard this before I start watching the games from their own fans, is that he struggles with the deep ball. That is absolutely correct. He struggles accuracy-wise with the deep ball. He can get it out there. He just can't get it. I mean, he's just not accurate. So, I would love to see our safeties out there, Caleb Downs, and even our corners, being disciplined, when it's one-on-one coverage and they're throwing it deep, being disciplined, because obviously they watch film and Tennessee's going to try to, try our DBs. We need to be disciplined and not pull and tug, Iggy. And if they don't, I like our chances with defending them passing wise. But Nico absolutely can be rattled. He has been rattled. I see Bucks Forever 65 said he started off hot, but regress. Yeah, started off against some really bad teams. They put up some big numbers against bad teams, which is fine, including Sampson's rushing. He's a really good back, but he put a ton of numbers up against early in the schedule and got held in check, against some other teams. But offensively, we can get to Nico, put some pressure on him, and I believe we can turn him over. A young quarterback coming to a hostile environment, first playoff game at night is not going to be easy for him. And so, Tennessee fans out there, listen, this defense is really good. I don't know what you've been watching or hearing. Maybe you watched one highlight of us getting beat against Oregon or something. Like, that's not the totality of our defense. It's the number one defense in the country
by far
after the regular season, statistically. So you can't say, oh, we ain't played nobody. No, we've played. Actually, here's the other thing. Ohio State's defense has played better statistical offenses than Tennessee has. So you can't try to say we played weak opponents. We've played better offenses than you. That's what the numbers say. So I'm just warning you, if you think you're going to come up in here and just spray us up, just think twice about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys been watching the show all year, which I'm sure most of you have, because I recognize a lot of names, I've been talking about Tennessee and Nico the whole season. Season. Nico went to my middle school. I was I'm pretty good friends with him at middle school for a bit. He lived in my hometown. He played for we have very good volleyball where we're around. And Nico was one of the best volleyball players I've ever seen in my life. And I'll give him that. Freakily athletic, on the outside hitter, block, great volleyball player. But one thing that comes with big volleyball players they're skinny. Nico is skinny out there. And some of the I was watching the games and all I could think about is like, he may die versus Ohio State. I mean, because one thing seriously, I mean, because our defense this year plays more physical than I've seen any defense in the country play. And I'm like, God, because if he wants to run like he's been running or trying to run against our pressure, because we've been blitzing more than any team in the nation and trusting our cornerbacks. I mean, because you're going to get hit if you play Ohio State. It's just a matter of, especially if you want to drop back and pass, you're going to get hit. It's just going to happen. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Sawyer will at least hit you. He may not sack you, but he'll hit you.
he'll hit you eventually. Yeah, exactly. Or Lorenzo Styles Jr. off the edge, or when CJ Hicks gets in there, they're just fast and aggressive. And the one thing we can't complain about our defense is the best defense in the nation. So I mean, he's gonna get shaken up, and when you're that skinny and that fragile, I mean, yeah, maybe after your first run you feel good, and after that second or third, you're like, whoa, I don't want to do that again. So I mean, and that's shown in his film too. Like I watched him versus Georgia, and they looked really good in the first quarter. Then all of a sudden, after the first quarter, they looked like they couldn't do anything. And I think it's a big thing because Georgia kept hitting the quarterback. They kept hitting the quarterback, being physical. Georgia had a lot of success with screens and pitches and seam routes, and I think that's just what Will Howard's good at. I think Will Howard and Carson Beck are two very similar quarterbacks, just from watching the film and seeing them do. And I think that we should have a lot of success, and we should have a game plan like they did versus or like Georgia did versus Tennessee, and it just worked. Yeah. And at the day, we just have to trust our defensive backs. And our defensive backs have played so good, B. Moses, since that Oregon game. That Oregon game was like a what the heck moment. But since then, we've been completely lights out. And we played some really damn good teams. Penn State scored 0 offensive touchdowns versus us. And they put up
Oregon up.
They lit up Oregon. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So clearly Penn State has some offensive power. They have the tight end who won the best tight end in the nation. He'll probably be our first or second round pick, and he's like historically good. Probably the greatest tight end Penn State's ever had. And Caleb Downs made him look like a little baby. Like he disappeared that whole game. I think he had like 1 catch and 1 run that whole entire game. That was impressive. Yeah. And well, 1 catch over Lathan Ransom was what a catch that was. But I mean, for basically 3 quarters of that game, he was nowhere to be seen. It was pretty crazy. So, I mean, the only questions I have is offensively. Defensively, we're going to be totally fine. If we score like over 21 points, I'll say we win the game like 100% of the time. It's just a matter of, hey, is our offense going to look as bad as it did versus Michigan? And odds are it won't. I'm not being a sunshine pumper. I'm frankly not extremely confident because the Michigan game did kind of slap me in the face. But I mean, odds are Will Howard's going to bounce back and have a better game. Odds are our offensive line's not going to be as bad as they were versus Michigan. They played versus Indiana and they looked great. They played a great game versus Indiana. So odds are we'll be fine and score some points. And I mean, clearly fluky stuff can happen. Big plays, like weird fumbles. A Quinshon fumbling is still one of the most random things ever. Like that just probably showed how bad that hand must have been, B. Moses, because that play versus Oregon, that was weird. And I'm like, because we haven't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think those 2 running backs have fumbled all year.
No. Henderson hasn't fumbled. That was the only fumble.
And that was weird. That was a big shift in the play, in the onside kick, and then the big 50-yard touchdowns and all that stuff. I mean, it was weird. And I think that's really the one thing that very well could happen. At the end of the day, this is a good Tennessee team, and they're very talented. So it's weird stuff can happen. But if the game goes as it should, I think Buckeyes win. So that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
And so does Schoaf Still Workshop. Thanks for the 5, brother. Thinks we won by 15. That's cool. And so listen, let me get into why I believe we can win, or things we need to do to win. And I'm gonna get into that. But I also just wanted to say with Tennessee, watching them, what they want to do is pretty simple. And we've seen this before. We've seen it a ton with teams. Is they want to make you, work the whole field defensively, or guard the whole field, I should say. They will split. They will do the splits with the wideouts, and they're going to test your corners to see if they can tackle in space. Our corners can tackle in space. One thing they can do is tackle in space. Our DBs, Caleb Downs, like we're gonna make open field tackles, but they're gonna do that to test you. Number one, number two, they're gonna do that to make sure that you're honest. Because they want to run Sampson. They want to lighten that box up and run Sampson and get him out the gate. One thing about Sampson is he's not super shifty. He's not Barry Sanders, but he's fast. He is fast. He's a 4.3 guy. So if he gets a crease, he can be gone. And so, it's very simple. They run a lot of, you're going to see a lot of slants and a lot of hitches and a lot of quick passes sometimes. They try to run tempo every now and then. It's not anything we have never seen. We've seen all of that. We got to do what we need to do, be disciplined, on the back end. Don't go for the whoop-de-whoop and all that other crap and get pressure on Nico. And then when we flush him out, we got to be disciplined because he can be dangerous. He can run and he's looking to throw. So we just got to play good defense in that regard. But excuse me, but I made some notes about things we can do and to win this game and and get the job done. But I'll say this though. Let me get on the O-line because just from the on field, we can talk about the coaches and what they need to do better, and we will, and we always have. But just on the field, the O-line to me was the biggest issue, and that was 1A and Howard was 1B. Those are the top two, in my opinion. So if you go back and rewatch the game and basically break it down and see everything that happened and didn't work, the O-line, it wasn't about them getting pushed around, even though there was some guys isolated like Tegra Shabola who got blown up a few times. It was more so the O-line not knowing their assignments and working their combination blocks mainly on the zone scheme runs. Now, for those, to give you a visual, remember we kept running to the edge. You would see the line. They weren't going north and south. They all collectively shifted to either the left or the right. That's called a zone blocking scheme when you see that, okay? And so guys need to know their assignments, who they're blocking, and our guys look lost out there for the majority of the time when we ran those type of plays, and Michigan just ate it up. We could not run the ball. Regardless of what people say who have not rewatched the game, we did not pound it up the middle 100 times. I already said this last week. I gave y'all the numbers. We didn't do that. We ran up the middle 3 times in the first half. That's it. We got stuffed on just stretch plays. One thing we did do well in the second half is more gap scheme type stuff. You think about counter plays when you're pulling guards and, things like that. There were a couple runs in the second half where we popped a couple nice ones where we ran that scheme. And so this line is capable of playing better. We need to lean in on what we do better, which is what I just gave an example of, gap scheme stuff, stuff where they know what they're doing. And also just watch the film and just, counter what we were experiencing. Because if Tennessee is going to try to mimic scum and do what they did, which is 2 high safeties, they play a lot of soft coverage. Michigan has played a lot of man this year, press man at times, but not in this game as much. They kept everything in front of them, let their front 7 do work. So if they want to do that, we have to make them pay. You know what I'm saying? So just out the gate, our O-line has to play better. We have to get them more prepared to play better. And if that's the case, y'all, listen, if our O-line is just good, they don't have to be elite. They just have to be good and competent. I have no doubt we win this game. That's it. Because like Funky said, the chances of Will Howard playing that poorly again, I just don't see that happening. You know what I'm saying? So I'll stop right there. I got more to say about keys to winning, but I wanted to get that out because it all starts with that. And I just think the chances after 3 weeks of reviewing tape, seeing what we were doing wrong, seeing what we actually did well, and the coaches, being able to get their heads out their butts and saying, look, we got to fix this. The chances of us coming out like that again are very low. Go ahead, Funk, if you got something.
There's 2 things I want to bring up. One, or they go kind of hand in hand. The first one is what I want to see as a fan just watching the game. I want to see just Ryan Day kind of just go for it. Be loose with it. Be just offensively, that's what I mean. I want to see screens and handoffs to our skill players, like jet sweeps. I want to see deeper passes. I want to see the offense run like a Chip Kelly offense should. I want to see tempo. I would love to see any of that. Just bring up this tempo. Just be loose with it. I don't want to see this tenseness and when it gets very predictable, as we've seen a Ryan Day offense be. I know Ryan Day doesn't call the plays, but I'm just saying Ryan Day offense because we've seen in the last couple of years us get really tense in some of these situations, especially versus Michigan, and I just don't want to see it. Because if Ohio State played how we did versus Georgia in 2020 or 2020, I'm losing dates, 2022 versus Georgia, if we play, or what might have been 2022, if we play if we played that well on that day versus Michigan, no matter how much Michigan was cheating that day, we would have smacked them. We would have beat them. That's just a fact. I think Ryan Day just gets too tense. I think there's just certain things that we do versus Michigan that we just shouldn't do. And I think that that's how I want to play. That's how I want to see us play. And I just want to bring up the big difference between Ohio State fans and Ohio State coaches are the last 2 weeks. Ohio State fans it's been pretty miserable to be a fan. It's like a civil war. It's people are angry by everybody. Season's over. Blah blah blah. Burn everything. It can't be blah blah blah. That's not how the coaches think. That's not how the players think. That's the end of the day. That's a point blank fact. The players aren't thinking, "Oh, the season's over." The players are disappointed, but they're fired up. They're ready to go. The coaches, they didn't cry in their bed for 3 days like I know some of us did. I mean, including myself almost. So like they went out there and they went back, watched the film. They're making the fixes. They're going to make the changes. And at the end of the day, everything's in front of us, and they know that. The players and coaches are ready for this game. They're not sleepwalking into this game like we think, like we are almost as fans, or not we, me and you, B Moses, but a lot of people are ready to burn the season already. In reality, if we don't lose again, we win the Natty. So and that's a fact. So the players and coaches are really looking for that. No, I'll let you go, B Moses.
No, that's cool. Yeah, the fans, and listen, I've been kind of in between because, Funky, we have to have some type of we can't just be the normal fan. And what I mean by that is we have to have some accountability to not just cry in our bed. And you know what I'm saying? Because we have to analyze, we have to talk about it. We have, you know what I'm saying? Like we need to educate ourselves. And it's hard to educate yourself if you don't rewatch the game, if you don't, watch Tennessee, if you know what I'm saying, if you don't analyze and look at, different things other than just, oh, we lost, we suck. You feel me? So with that said, fans, I get it. I understand the hurt, the pain, the frustration. I'm sensitive to that. This was a huge loss. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was a terrible loss. We had no business losing this game. That is a fact. But what's also a fact is we have a playoff game this Saturday for the first time ever at the Shoe. You feel me? Like that's we just can't disregard that. And I think some fans, I had multiple fans on my page, talking about listen, man, I post updates. Whenever there's an update Ohio State football related, I'm probably going to post it. For example, the jerseys, the all scarlet jerseys. Ross Bjork confirmed wearing all scarlet jerseys. I posted it. Routine post, right? Look, update. 4,000 reactions, almost 1,000 comments. More than half of them are complaining that we're wearing the jerseys. They're complaining that we're talking about the jerseys. They're complaining, who cares what to wear? Just be. Listen, it's just we have to have some type of balance. Like, first of all, talking about the jerseys is not going to impact the game. Okay, the players aren't sitting around on social media talking, worry about winning the game, then what we gonna wear in the game. First of all, we ain't got to do nothing. We fans. How many times I got to tell you all that? So anyway, it also kind of brings me to, because we're talking about the fans right now. It also brings me to, Ross Bjork, and people wanting to fire him now because he didn't come out and say fire day before we have a freaking playoff game. Yeah, that would be smart. Let's be shaky about our support for the coach as we approach our first ever home playoff game
and National Signing Day.
And National Signing Day. Like, it's just, listen, you can feel what you want to feel. You want Day fired. He hurt your soul. You want him to pay for what he did to you. I get it. Like, I'm pissed too. However, just think, fans, think. So it's just ridiculous with some of the takes. But again, with this Michigan game, we have to, because people are just basically, how people go from one extreme to the other, Funky. It's like all or nothing. Sometimes it's both and. Sometimes it's, you walk and chew gum. Like, basically, I made the point that the Michigan game is always going to matter to us because it's the greatest rivalry in sports. It's the bragging rights aspect, the 365 days of talking trash to the scum people or vice versa, whatever. That's never going to change. However, the impact of this game on our season has changed. And that's the part we have to wrap our minds around and kind of shift, as far as how things go when we lose this game. And we got a playoff game this Saturday. And that's what I think a lot of fans are struggling with. And I think they look at you or me or whoever as a sunshine pumper, and we don't care as much because we're acknowledging that fact. No, I'm salty we lost this game. Trust me, I had a lot on this game, not money, but a lot, just a lot with this game. But I also understand the other side of it. And I think that's what Ross Bjork was trying to articulate. But people try to say, oh, he's saying we need to lower expectations and we don't care about the game. I don't think he said that at all. But anyway.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, I completely agree with you. And it's just the fact is Ohio State's outlook on this season didn't really change that much after the Michigan game. And you might say, oh, that's wrong, you're wrong, whatever. If you look at the power rankings that Vegas makes and where they project future matchups and give a point spread, before the Michigan game, there were 0 teams that were favored over Ohio State. There were 0 teams. Not one team Ohio State would be underdogs going into the game. After the game, oh, there's one team, and it's Oregon by 1 point. So, which I mean, that's nothing really. So Ohio State still, after this Michigan game, is going into the playoffs with 4 games to win, where they will be the favorite in every single game or the underdog by 1 single point in the game. So, does losing suck to Michigan? Absolutely. Does it? I mean, that was some of the worst things I've ever seen. I was in pain after the game. I was shocked, flabbergasted. I mean, it's horrible because we know the rivalry. We all grew up in the rivalry. We all know what is like the meaningness of the game. But at the end of the day, we have to look forward and we have to move on because us crying about it isn't going to change what happened. And the fact is, Michigan's at home and they're 7-5. They're losing again. All their star players to the draft. They're celebrating, returning their 4th and 5th best offense or defensive linemen. And they're 7-5, and they're starting a true freshman or a Maryland quarterback who's horrible this year. So that's what they're happy about. But what we're looking forward to is a playoff game versus Tennessee, and we're still having a chance to win a national championship and a home playoff game versus Tennessee. So if Ohio State fans can't get excited for that, then I don't really know what to say because it's just a new reality of college football, and we're gonna have to get used to it, especially when they're gonna expand the playoffs. I think they already did, right? Because I think they're expanding it to 14 in a couple years, right? Bemos, or 16 was it?
It's not official. It's something that like Bjork and other high ups believe is going to happen, but it's not official yet. But it's probably going to happen.
It's not. I swear they said something like how this will be the playoffs for 4 years, and they're expanding it in 4 years officially. But maybe that was a long time ago. I'm vaguely remembering this. But what I'm basically saying is they're gonna expand the playoffs again, and every single time they expand the playoffs, then every single regular season game means less to your path to a national championship. That's a fact. It's just going to mean less. Is the Michigan game still going to mean a whole lot because it's bragging rights? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's going to turn into just bragging rights. It's going to turn into UNC Duke basketball game. I mean, I hate saying that, but that's kind of just the fact. We talked about this before they expand the playoffs. That's why I don't want them to expand the playoffs because I feel like the game should still have all its meaning like it did way back in the day where it's 1 versus 2, winner goes to the natty, loser goes home. But at the end of the day, that's not how it is. The winner or the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game could both make the playoffs, and they both could have an equal chance at winning the national title, or their odds move very, very shortly. So, I mean, that's just the new reality of college football. Does it suck? Yeah, sure, you can argue that. You can complain about that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change, and all we can do is look forward to the next game, which is Tennessee and winning a natty.
Yeah, and that's just kind of where I'm at, man. It's just like, again, none of y'all out there can tell me about this game, about this scum game. I grew up in it. I'm born and raised in Columbus. I'm proud of it. I lived through the 90s. I lived through the last 20 years before this run they went on. You can't tell me nothing about it. I hate them with a white hot passion of 1,000 suns. Trust and believe. However, I can't ignore the facts of where we are in college football right now. And that's not downplaying the game. The game is extremely important to me. However, the landscape is different now and it hits different. And that's all we're saying. And if you want to take that as downplaying the game, then that's on you because I've been clear and articulated it clear about how I feel. And what I just said is not downplaying the game. It's just speaking facts, period. So now, with Tennessee coming up, we've literally been, dreaming about this, for years, bringing an SEC team up here in, in December or whatever, in cold or whatever. and we finally got it. And it's funny, I'm not going to go on a long rant about the cold, but Tennessee fans, they also been going crazy about my comments about coming up here and how Ohio cold is different from Tennessee cold. And I stand on that. We're not saying, listen, one more time for y'all who have comprehension skill, who lack comprehension skills. I'm not saying it does not get cold in Tennessee. I know it gets cold. The issue is Tennessee doesn't get as cold until later down the calendar, where in November, Midwest teams, Big Ten teams are playing in the 20s at times in late November, like consistently, like over time. They've done that for years. This is what we do. So, yes, you may be practicing in that right now, but you haven't played in that. It was my point. And so it may, and again, I say it may mean nothing. But Jay Book put out the stat. They haven't played in the projected weather that they're going to get next Saturday since the 1970s. That may be nothing. But that's still an eye-opening stat. Like, that's interesting. But they get all worked up with that. Either way, it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited to see the atmosphere. I guess there's an outside chance that I may go, if I come across a ticket or so. I don't know. But either way, it's going to be very, very nice on TV regardless. So yeah, I'm excited.
The funniest thing for me, B. Moses,
then we'll get into the portal in a minute. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, sorry. I'll jump into that right after this. The insecurities of the Tennessee, it got all the way up to the social media page where it was a little drizzly snow, and they made sure to post it all over, and all the kids on the team posted a photo in the snow and stuff. And I was like just dying because I'm like, okay, I can't talk too much, and snow I live in I'm a West Coast guy, so but just, I know Columbus. Whatever, been there a dozen times. Like I know that it's more than just you don't see Ohio State football just posing in the snow every day. I just find it funny. It just
at this point, I'm insecure. At this point, I'm just trolling them because they're. I just made a comment about the differences in the average weather per, I brought it up, and then they you should see my page, man. They are just, and look, I'm looking now.
It's cold here.
Yeah, it's cold here too.
See, it snowed. It snowed. It's
so
our first snowfall.
Saturday night it's supposed to be snowing. A chance of snow, and then that Saturday night could be around 15 to 17 degrees at night. So, listen, it should be fun, man. It should be fun. Either way, best team will win and all that other stuff. But it just tickles me that they get so worked up about it. Like, just whatever. Just chill. So you making excuses now? So what? No, we're not. We're just bringing up the fact that you haven't played in this weather since the 1970s. We thought that was an interesting stat.
That is interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's a good stat. And if we want to jump into the portal talk.
Real quick. Oh, sorry. Mickey, thank you for the $19.99. We'll get to the other super chat before everything is said and done, but I wanted to acknowledge Mickey. Thank you for always rocking with us, man. Appreciate it. My bad, Funk. Go ahead, brother.
No, all good. The Ohio State scheduled a visit for the Nevada offensive tackle. He's Ohio State's number one priority at this point of the portal. We're honing in on him. We stopped talking to the Bowling Green guy. I mean, I'm sure people could infer that because he committed to Cincinnati. So we're going all in on this Nevada offensive tackle. Ohio State loves where they're at. The foundation loves where they're at. I think I love where that talking to a kid on the class of 2025. He loves where they're at. He's actively recruiting like he always is. And he told me that Ohio State, that we're honing in on Josh Thomas from Northwestern, I believe his name was, and that Nevada kid, offensive tackle. So I'm forgetting his name. I should know.
Josh Thompson.
Yeah. And then the other two things I found interesting was the USC running back and the Alabama running back transfers. The two things mainly to look out for this is I think Ohio State likes where they're at more I know they like where they're at more with the USC kid than they do with Joyner than they do the Bama kid. But I think Ohio State is trying to pursue the Bama kid a little more. I know they're trying to pursue the Bama kid a little more. Friends with Caleb Downs, they like where they're at with him. But the team up north is in desperate need for a lot of stuff. That team is in need for a ton, and they're willing to overpay. So we're hearing pretty big numbers thrown around to that running back. And Ohio State has a respectable offer, and I think the kid wants to go to Ohio State because who wants to go to that team right now with the shambles they're in still. Even though you can say they beat us or whatever, they're still in shambles. They still went 7-5, and they're still losing the majority of their talents. So
Right.
he doesn't. I don't think and I know he doesn't want to go there. I know he wants to go to Ohio State, but Michigan is giving him a really, really big offer to go up there. So I think if I had to put in my crystal ball right now, I'd say Ohio State ends up with the Joyner USC kid. So I think we
Yeah.
end up with him, and then Ohio State is looking for a portal kicker. I think they're waiting a little bit. They didn't like they talked to the whatever
Jesus
the
Gomez.
Jesus Gomez kid didn't that he was inefficient. Just he we can complain as much as we want about our kicker, but I'm telling you, if you actually watch, he had a big leg, but just inconsistent and not worth. Like Ryan Day's not putting his life onto his hands, so Ryan Day we will get a kicker this portal season. I would bet anything on it, just not him. We're just being a little patient on that side of the ball right now. But offensive guards and running back are really what they're honing in
Tackles.
on.
Tackles too.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Offensive linemen and running back. And then we're pursuing a bunch of veteran defensive backs to try to be a little stem or a little bridge gap between because we're losing probably. I mean, we're losing Burke for sure. We're losing Hancock for sure. We're losing Ransom for sure. We're keeping Downs. Iggy is up there. I think if I had a bet on it, I think Iggy comes back for the right NIL deal. But so after that, then we have Aaron Scott and oh my God, Jermaine Matthews. And then obviously Devin Sanchez is coming in. So defensive backs are looking fine, but they're looking to add one or two veterans. They've been talking to Deline, which is Fahim Deline's brother from Virginia Tech. So I would want him because I think having that chemistry is really important for a team. And obviously brothers have chemistry, and just in general, that's good for team culture. And so I think that's who we're honing in on from what I've been hearing. And he's getting on campus either for the game this weekend or for the weekend after that. But Ohio
Thought it
State,
was for the game. We'll see though.
yeah, I thought it was for the game too. That's what I heard originally. Just haven't been able to fully confirm that yet. But Ohio State we're doing the portal the right way, and I love that. We are not overpaying for these high school kids, and we're going to the portal, being aggressive, finding what we need, and yeah. And I'll let you know there's a certain guy on staff named Justin Fry who knows his life in Ohio State is up for grabs this Saturday. I'll go out here and say it. If Ohio State loses to Tennessee this Saturday, Justin Fry will be fired. He
You
will be
shouldn't have
fired.
said that. Now you're gonna have fans praying we lose.
No, no, because I wouldn't. I don't even totally. I genuinely. This is an unpopular take. I know it will be. I don't think Justin Fry is a bad head coach, or sorry, bad coach, not head coach. Clearly, I don't think he's a bad coach. He developed Seth. Seth got kicked out of his university, pretty much, got shunned. The Alabama center this year was a projected All-American. So, we have a better guy to replace him, blah, blah, blah.
Remington Award winner.
Yeah, then he won the Remington Award this year. So, got to give credit for Fry. I don't
Josh
really.
Simmons.
But clearly Josh Simmons as well.
Yeah.
Did he get really unlucky with his thing? Should he have better depth on his depth chart? I mean, sure. But go through every single team in the nation and you take away their two best offensive linemen, move one of their best offensive line out of position, and then get another starter injured, guess what? They're not going to look good. They're not going to be good. That's just a fact. Will Justin Fry get blamed for the injuries? Because someone has to be the lamb if we lose to Tennessee. That's just a fact. Someone's going to get fired. That's what's going to happen. It will be no one defensively. Clearly, we're the best defense in the nation, so that'd just be irrational in my opinion. It's someone, and then that someone's Fry. Because we won't lose recruits if it's Fry, because he's not been recruiting well. That's a fact. But still, just not, yeah. But no, sorry, people are crapping me in the things. People love hating on Fry, but at the end of the day, he would have made Josh Simmons a first team All-American and a first round pick if he didn't get injured. Seth McLaughlin would have been a first or second round pick, best center in the nation, and Donovan Jackson was an All-American. That's 3 All-Americans in the offensive line. 3 All-Americans into line. So if you want to say Fry stinks, then you got to tell me having 3 out of 5 people on our offensive line as All-Americans or first or second team All-Americans is a bad thing. So, yeah, and we can talk about his recruiting or whatever, but the end of the day is we've had stars in the offensive line. Did injuries happen? Sure. And will he be punished for it if we lose this game? I'll go out on a limb and say he will be fired. So, do I think we lose the game? I don't think so. 7.5 is a lot of spread. That's a big spread again. But as we know, spreads don't like obviously don't tell you what's actually going to happen, but it does give you a good chance of probability. So
Well,
yeah,
hopefully,
that was my rant.
not.
Unpopular rant, B Moses, but
I hear
that's just
you,
what it
and
is.
I'm sure you'll be clapped for it, but
Yeah.
that's fine. But hopefully we just don't lose the game, and then we can,
Yeah.
shelf that for another week, at least. Thank you, Sean Rollins, for the 10. We appreciate you as well. We appreciate all of y'all who show up every week, who get it really, going in the chat. Really, really appreciate y'all. And yes, the Jesus. I'm sorry, I cracked up when I saw this comment. So I thought I was in church. We need Jesus. Somebody slap your neighbor and say, we need Jesus. Well, he's committed. Jesus Gomez is committed to Arizona State. And he's from New Mexico, or, I just think the kid wanted to get back to some warm weather, man. I got people on my phone freaking out in my chats about losing Jesus Gomez. Like, listen, we need a kicker. Trust me, that is very important. Jim Tressel cap on right now. But just calm down. Like there's other kickers who are solid. I'm sure that we can get. But anyway, so and yes, also Ken Taco Hut, you and others mentioned about the weather. We didn't lose to Michigan because it was cold. Like y'all need to stop saying this. We didn't lose. Listen, I've been obsessed with rewatching that game, and I'm telling you, the weather had nothing to do with why we lost the game. That was not it. So please stop with we lost to Michigan in the cold. It wasn't because of cold. It was because we were goofy and we played poorly. So anyway, but yeah, no, you didn't mention weather, Ken, but I saw your comment. What you say? Let me go back up and see what you said about Michigan. I'll find a comment, but
according to Ryan Day, it was the wind. So I'm
I
obviously
gotta go
joking,
back and
but
see
yeah.
a comment, but yeah, it was implying that it was about the weather. And if you weren't, my bad. Maybe I saw somebody else's comment. But anyway, it's all good. So listen. Here's the bottom line, y'all. This is how I feel. I know it's tough to even fathom that we can win this game if your mind is still stuck on the Michigan game, number one. Number two, if you're not acknowledging the fact that college football doesn't work the way our feelings work, because this is how we think as fans. And I say we, is that we'll take one game. It could be a great game where we just completely destroy everybody. And then we just try to superimpose that to the next game. It doesn't work like that. These are young men playing college football. They're resilient. Just because we were extra goofy against Michigan and lost, and it was terrible, one of the worst losses ever, your minds are thinking there's no way we can beat Tennessee, and that's just not correct. That's not college football. And furthermore, Ohio State, when have they played so poorly back to back like that? I can't think of any instances that they just back to back terrible play. Especially coming off of a 3-week hiatus of collecting themselves and all that mentally and physically. We definitely can win this game. It starts up front, like I've already said to y'all. A few things before we get off of here that I feel like we need to do to win this game. All right. We went tempo in that game against Michigan, and it was working. Now, obviously, if you want to go tempo, you have to get first downs. You have to get first downs, and then also you have to be careful that you're not hanging your defense out to dry if you're not executing that tempo in your drive to where you're not over exhausting your defense. So we have to be smart, but tempo will work, especially against this D line who wants to get after you. So that's one. Also, in the RPO game early on, we came out throwing the ball. I know people in their minds think we just ran the ball a jillion times. We didn't. We came out and threw the ball actually a lot in the first half. One of the things that was open was that RPO hitch. And so what I'm saying is when McCord he read either play action, run, like he could have handed it off, he could have took off himself, or he could have threw it. What Michigan was doing, and if Tennessee tries to do the same thing, which is play soft coverage, play their DBs back, that RPO hitch to Carnell Tate and to Abuka and to Jeremiah Smith is going to be there for 7-8 yards. And our guys are really good. If they can break a tackle, that's even more. The point is, is that will be there. We need to make sure we hit that and get it to our talented wideouts. I want to see a few more screens. We popped a big screen with Henderson that was like a 30, 35-yard gain. Use their aggressiveness against them. We need to get Will Howard out on the edge, roll him out sometimes to give him the option to take off and run and use his legs. We need to give him some design cue runs that aren't predictable. And then also we need to what else? As far as downfield, first of all, in order to do anything downfield, we have to make sure we're running the ball effectively enough. Okay, again, we don't have to run the ball a gajillion times, but we need to play to our strengths in the run game and at least pick up some yards in the run game to make sure they have to account for it in the box and at least bring a safety down, or at least, not just have their guys back. We're going to have to run the ball some, y'all. We just have to. We can't abandon the run completely. And I believe we'll be able to do that, and we would have learned our lesson from that Michigan game. There's definitely things we can do schematically, and also from an execution standpoint, just play better. You know what I'm saying? So those are just a few things that we can do. If our offense shows up even remotely close to what we've seen, even against like a Oregon, we're going to win this game. And Tennessee is a good team. They are, but I think their downfall will be, I think the road thing with a young quarterback will be a factor, or can be a factor. And I think our defense, they have not seen a defense like ours. They haven't, statistically and otherwise. We have a really good defense, and I think they've been downplaying it. And I don't think they understand how suffocating our defense can be. So I think that is what's going to win the day, our defense, and we're going to get off the schneid and play much better and coach much better offensively to get this dub, y'all. Period.
I want to score a prediction, B. Moses. I want to score a prediction right now, B. Moses.
How dare you?
On the spot.
All right, I'm going to go with 27-20. I'm going to go 27-20 Ohio State. I think towards the end of the game we'll be up by 10, and they drive down and kick a field goal, and we win by 7 and don't cover the spread.
Yeah, so, I think it's 21-17 Ohio State wins. I think ugly game. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I think Tennessee turns the ball over late. Ohio State is able to run the ball out again. I think it'll be very Penn State-like, because, like it or not, a lot of these SEC games have looked like what Big Ten games looked like for the last couple of years. That Georgia-Texas game, what was it, like 6-3 at halftime? So I think it's going to be a very defensive game. I think it's going to be very field position-y. And I think Ohio State wins a close one. I don't think we're ever trailing, but I think we win a close one. I think Tennessee just kind of hangs in there. Then Ohio State gets the one stop we need at the end of the game.
Yeah, it'll be close.
This is going to be a game. But I don't think we cover. We're at 21-17. I think we score 3 touchdowns. We get in 3 times, and our defense holds up. I think Tennessee struggles in the red zone. I think Ohio State succeeds in the red zone, and I think we win an ugly game. I think that's my prediction.
Yeah, I agree, because we've been great in the red zone outside of the scum game, and I think we can return to that form. And I don't think we're going to rely on our field goal kicker to win us the game. We're going to actually punch it in.
We're going for 4. We're going for 4 every time. So
right. And thanks, Stully Bully, for the $9.99. All these fan bases flapping their gums, and they're going to continue until we slap the tail out of somebody's mouth. Can't think of a better game to start. Let's go. Amen. Listen, I'm fired up, y'all. I encourage you. Yes, the Michigan game sucks. We got a playoff game coming up at night this week. I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all. As a Buckeye fan, I know how to compartmentalize, okay? So I can be salty. This game will forever sting. However, my sights are on this game and us winning this game. And I think if we could pour this game out, I think that'll really, turn some things for the morale of the fan base to at least an extent, okay? So anyway, you know what? Should I real quick, put a 1 in the chat if you want me to play the song as we go out. The you know what time it is song. Matter of fact, forget it. I'm gonna play it anyway. All right. Regardless if y'all want to hear it or not. Because I gotta promote. I ain't got no marketing team, y'all. me, Dev, and the Buckeye Boys is my marketing team. That's all we got. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it, man.
Yeah, shout out to the Buckeye Boys too. A great show this morning. I tuned in.
Yeah. Buckeye Boys are doing their thing. Make sure you go like and subscribe. It's Buckeye Boys with a Z. They've been interviewing a lot of recruits. They do an excellent job. Great guys, just on and off the pod. I sound like I'm talking about, a recruit. But anyway, they do a great job. Make sure you go check them out. But I'm going to play the joint. This song is available on all streaming services. Make sure you spin this joint like crazy, especially on game day. All right? And then we'll end this as soon as the song go off. Peace.
Peace out.
You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh, how
you know what time it is. I'm raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive, stiff arms to your jaw. We breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown. We taking it. Number one flaws, you don't know ball. We taking advantage of that. Got you Karens asking where the manager at. With no cap, no time for the amateur rap. Look, man, we got dogs all over the depth chart. Monsters on the roster. Straighten up that posture. Rooting out you imposters. Silver bullets in the chamber. And a D-line full of danger. Step back when that linebacker trigger, when he pull it, it'll bang ya. Running backs running downhill. Touchdown on your IG reel. Better check the stats, buddy, it's straight facts over how you feel. Whenever I speak, I'm giving you more bars than German Village, Short North, and High Street. And you know, the average Joe can do nothing with my flow. It's a waste. Somebody please give this brother an I.O. Come on.
I told y'all before, I need to feel y'all's energy. Stop sitting on y'all hands and get this place lit. Like I said, bring the energy.
Yeah, you know what time it is. I'm raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lame. You know what time it is. I'm brawl with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lame. It's Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. And yes, the east side of Columbus raised me. Another pick six. Them BIA boys about to go crazy. Cause we don't play. Our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's OH. Somebody please give this brother an I.O. Come on.
They are not better than us. We're going to go out in this second half, and we're going to punch this ticket. We leaving everything out there on this field. This is it. What you going to be made of?
Yeah, you know what time it is. I'm raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lame. You know what time it is. I'm brawl with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lame. You know what time it is.